Hi guys, welcome. This is Caitlin back from grassfedgirl.com, and if you watched me before, I'm on YouTube a lot talking about the carnivore diet. I really love the carnivore diet, and I also am passionate about healthy living with non-toxic lifestyles. And today we're welcoming my sister, Ellen Weeks.
Hi.
She has been doing the carnivore diet for a year. She had her carniversary just the other day, and we're just so excited. She is a new mom, sort of. Her first baby is 4, and her second baby is 1. So she has a lot to share with us about carnivore with kids and being a new mom and how she got started with carnivore. So we're so excited that she's here, and she's going to tell us her story about how she got started and her health journey and all that kind of stuff. So tell us, why. I mean, go way back if you want to your health issues or your childhood. How did you get started with being interested in your health, and then how did it come all the way to carnivore?
Well, when I was younger, I mean, like my, health or wellness when I was younger, we ate a lot of chicken breast growing up, a lot of like spray butter, like fat-free spray butter. I mean, our family fully bought into like the low calorie, low fat. And my parents always had, lots of carbohydrates. Everyone in my family is a carbohydrate addict. And so, I was not raised on any sort of like low carb beginnings or anything like that. And then college was a complete free for all with like, terrible food choices. And so I left college at like the highest, and I was always overweight. I was overweight since like 3rd grade, and we went to all kinds of children diet programs, which were different levels of embarrassing, things like that. And then when I graduated college, I was at my heaviest weight. I was like almost 300 pounds, like 275, and I got out of college and I saw pictures of myself, and I realized that I had really, let myself go, and I really wanted to begin again and start being healthy and start losing weight. And so I joined Weight Watchers, and I lost a ton of weight on Weight Watchers. I did, there's a lot of great things about that program, and it really, like, the thing it did teach me was to cook. I learned to cook vegetables and cook meat on that diet, and that if I wanted to eat lots of food, I had to eat a lot of vegetables and lean meats. And I lost a lot of weight that way, and felt pretty good. And then,
You've always had like a kind of a cancer scare in your family, right?
Oh yeah. And shortly after, like when I was in Weight Watchers, I went to this, cancer prevention, like about nutrition seminar. And it was the first time I'd ever heard about pasture raised meats and, eating everything, eating like whole foods and organic, and like trying to really source your food responsibly and trying to get the least toxic personal care as well as the least toxic food options, like buying everything from a farmer, local, sourcing your food and all like that, everything like that. And so and that, like, that's when I got very serious about my risk for breast cancer, because I have a about a 50% chance statistically of getting it, according to the doctors. And so that was really jarring when I learned that in my early 20s, and I started having mammograms every year. And I mean, I had to do a lot of stuff because I had to do make a lot of changes and start doing a lot more screening in my early 20s than I ever anticipated because of my high risk of breast cancer. So that also started me being very serious about wanting to decrease my risk of breast cancer as much as possible. And everything that I learned when I was researching was like, you've got to live a non-toxic life. Like, you've got to get rid of, any sort of artificial fragrance, artificial foods, processed foods. You got to become as natural as possible and trying to use like whole foods, like natural body care, everything like that. So.
And that was because, I mean, your grandmother died of breast cancer at 35, and then your mother had breast cancer at 35 also, I think. So that really kind of scared straight, right?
Right. Right. It made me become a lot more serious about being proactive about my health.
And obesity is also a factor, right?
Exactly.
But I mean, I just want people to understand, I mean, you're a really tall person and, a larger type person. Like, even, I mean, some people, when they're weighing 275, like, they can't even walk. I mean, but you did have a lot of problems with your Achilles tendon and stuff like that when you were when you were at your heaviest, which was another clue that, like, your body is really not liking, what you were doing.
Oh yeah. I mean, towards the end of college, I mean, everything, I was like really felt like I was kind of in perfect health, even though I was really overweight. And like towards the end of college, I had my Achilles tendon like started hurting so bad that I couldn't walk. And I went to college in Florida, and like I wore flip flops for 4 years, and all of a sudden I couldn't wear flip flops anymore. I had to wear tennis shoes all the time, like all around our beachy school campus, and because I could barely walk if I didn't have that. And then I started having like heartburn all the time. That's when like I started having the beginning of some ongoing digestive issues.
And you attribute that also to taking a lot of Advil and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's kind of going back to that whole thing of like, I mean, there's before, when I got serious about my health, like I was making all kinds of detrimental mistakes about like diet and the choices I was making about medicine. I mean, I had headaches all the time late in high school and then in college, and I would just practically take Advil or ibuprofen every day. Like I was like, well, I'm gonna get a headache, so I'll just take ibuprofen. And like shortly after college, I started having like if I ate certain things, I would be in like I would have a debilitating stomach ache, and I didn't know what was going on. I went to the doctor. They tried to give me like antacids, and I was like, "That's really not." I'm pretty positive that's not what's going on. And then finally, I realized like ibuprofen is like really hard on your stomach. It's not good for your stomach lining at all. And I stopped taking it, and like that alleviated like a huge part of like all that pain.
But I mean, but why do you think you're having all those headaches?
I mean, I attribute it to, I mean, now I think it's just poor food choices, dehydration, drinking too much coffee, all kinds of.
And I mean, you're pretty gluten sensitive, don't you think? Aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, when I got rid of gluten, like shortly after, in like 2009, I like started eating paleo, and like that alleviated another level of pain and inflammation that I had.
And so
it's been a long journey of like, lots of weird things that have gone on, and like, you know, I'm constantly like, you know, this journey is a journey. Like I'm constantly kind of figuring out things that are working and not working, and like constantly tweaking things.
so I think it's a funny story when you went on a hiking meetup, and what happened on that hiking meetup?
Oh, are you talking about Micah? Oh yeah. Well, so I went on. There's a hiking meetup in Nashville that's really popular, and I went to Beeman Park for a hike on a Sunday, and you know, was trying to. If you've ever been to a hiking club, like you're always kind of trying, especially if you go alone, you're like trying to find a buddy, like maybe someone you can, you know, hike with and talk to. And you know, I was like, you know, being very open, looking around, and there was this guy there with a really cute dog, and I was like, okay, good. I can at least like, you know, pet the dog and be like, hey, you know, it's a good in to start talking to someone. And so I was standing near him, and we weren't really talking or anything, but the tour, what am I trying to say? The hiking leader of the hike was like talking about like, you know, about the hike and, you know, staying hydrated or something. It was like a 6-mile hike. And summer, almost summer. And he said, you know, you've really got to make sure you eat lots of carbohydrates to fuel your hike. And like, I was like fully in the like low carb paleo mode at that point. It was like 2012. And Micah was like, I doubt that or something. And I like, or he said like, I would contest that. And I chuckled because I was like, yeah, me too, you know, because I agreed with him. And then that's like, that got us started. And so we started, he was my hiking buddy that day. And I started talking to him, and we were like, had a lot in common. You know, we were both really into, like, we were both dreaming about having a urban farm, urban garden in Nashville and in on our property or one day. And then he was like, do you know who Weston A. Price is? And I was like, yes, actually. And I think that like completely shocked him, because I'm sure most people you talk to off the cuff have no clue who he is. And that's and then he was and he said like, I eat paleo, and I was like, me too. And that was, you know, really exciting, because you don't at the time you didn't meet anyone who ate paleo or even knew who Weston A. Price was. So it was really exciting. And you know,
cut ahead. That is your husband.
yeah, that's my husband. Yeah.
So spoiler alert. But
Yeah.
so he introduced you to carnivore, and how did that go? So you had your first kid when you had your first kid, and then you were just kind of keto after that. And tell us about when you had your first kid, but then you were keto, but then you gained weight.
Oh yeah. Well, so like since 2009, we had really been eating paleo, and then after, and I had like a paleo pregnancy and everything like that, and my son Samson was born in 2015, and we, where was I? What was I talking about? Paleo. Okay.
After you had a baby.
So after I had Samson, I was like, that was when like Micah, I think, started doing keto, and I wanted to lose weight, so I started doing it with him. And but keto, though, I mean, I enjoyed eating keto. I thought it was really good, but I had
You enjoyed it too much.
yeah, I enjoyed it too much. They, you know, if someone says like you can eat as much butter as you want, I mean, you know, watch me. I'll, you know, I can put it away.
And you're quite a good baker and stuff, right?
Right. And so like I was like, I didn't love fat bombs, but I was like, yeah, keto, cinnamon rolls and like um, keto brownies and things like that. And like, yeah, this is so healthy and I also I mean, one of the things that frustrated me about keto the whole time is that like fat was not satiating to me. I mean, that was not like they'd be like, well, just eat like 3 ounces of ground beef and then like put some fat on it or something. And I was like, that, put some butter, like put coconut oil, and like that never. I mean, that, and so I would just eat more. It did not like help me regulate. It did not like help my blood sugar issues or anything like that. So anyway, I gained like 30 pounds or something like that. And,
After the baby.
yeah, after the baby. So I was close to, I mean, I was getting up to like close to my like highest weight again with that. And then, I went, I think like before I got pregnant with John Henry, this is like, to be pretty much doing low carb, but like not doing keto. I mean, I was not trying to like eat um, more fat than
You were trying
protein.
to count your macros.
What I started doing was intermittent fasting. I did alternate day modified fast, which is where you like eat 500 calories one day and the next day you eat as much as you want. And I lost that. I lost, weight with that. Like I lost the weight that I had gained doing keto, doing that before I got pregnant with um, John Henry.
And then, so everything went well with John Henry being born, and then what happened?
So after John Henry was born, I was still doing low carb. Felt like that was really, really helpful in helping me heal and like kind of get back to normal after having John Henry. But I mean, I was starting to have digestive issues, and I have had like pretty ongoing, off and on digestive issues since for 10 years or so. And
Like what? What do you mean by that?
what would happen a lot of times is I would eat a lot of what usually caused it was I would eat like a lot of broccoli, a lot of cabbage, because again I was like still under that idea of Weight Watchers, like you got to fill up on vegetables. You got to like eat lots of broccoli, lots of cabbage, lots of Brussels sprouts, lots of kale or whatever. And those are all like my favorite vegetables, like Brussels sprouts, cabbage, broccoli, and all those are pretty hard to digest. And so a few years ago, like I realized that raw vegetables were causing a huge problem. So I like because if I ate a piece of like raw broccoli, I would be like bent over in stomach pain, basically like horrible,
like a stabbing pain, kind of, right?
yeah, stomach cramp, basically, and like
And a lot of bloating.
yeah, and so I realized like I have to cook everything to basically mush, and that helped, but every once in a while I was still kind of fat. But anyway, a lot of those came back after I had John. Like, it was like I had a stomach ache after every meal, basically. And I didn't really know what was going on. It was very frustrating because I feel like, I was like eating low carb. I was like eating all these healthy vegetables that I thought I needed to eat to be healthy and everything. And
you were also you couldn't eat dairy at all. It made you really sick.
Right. I couldn't eat dairy. Like I would get like some sort of like stomach cramp. And so that, I like really it was like I had no idea what to do. And around that time, and so then I started like just eating fermented vegetables. I was like, I'm just gonna eat fermented vegetables, like fermented sauerkraut, like I think Farmhouse Culture. I like bought them out at Whole Foods and stuff, and ate a bunch of that, and like pickles and things like that. And that, like was okay. That went down okay for the most part, but still didn't feel great. Still wasn't like losing weight, or anything. And then my husband, we kept watching low carb Breckenridge videos and low carb Down Under, like the two like low carb conferences in the U.S. and Australia, and they started talking about carnivore. And there was like this one presentation that was about this guy that like that his in his study, his group of people, they did zero carb, and they had all these digestive issues, like they couldn't poop, they were bloated all the time, they couldn't digest anything, and so he put them on a zero carb diet, which is basically a carnivore diet. And like all of them had like, were pretty like all of them, almost all their digestive issues like went away. And I was like, and so I was like, well, I'm gonna try it. And also, like, if you have to cook for a family and like no one eats vegetables but you,
Yeah,
it's
your
pretty.
husband never liked vegetables anyway.
Like always just like suffered through them. So like I was like, well, fine, it'll make my life easier. Like we'll just all go, we'll all just do carnivore. We'll just try it. And so I tried it, and I did it for about a month, and I realized like I didn't have any problems digesting the food. I wasn't having any bloating. I wasn't having any stomach pains, and I was losing weight like without really any stress or like working at it very much. I was just like eating until I felt full and stopping, and then if I was hungry again, I just ate more. And so
You weren't and you weren't exercising, and you weren't like tracking or counting or.
no, I was just, and I was also like, postpartum. So I was like, trying to get as much nutrition as possible, like breastfeeding and everything. And I was still like, only, I was like 3 months postpartum or something. So it was like when I started. And so I wasn't concerned about losing weight. I was just trying to get rid of all this like stomach issues I was having. And so, but when I realized that, and then
But you
that I was like losing weight too, it was like great. Obviously, that was a great benefit because I like definitely needed to lose some weight. And then
did it affect your nursing? I mean, did it affect your milk flow or?
I mean, there's definitely like when with Samson, I was eating a lot of like gluten-free grains and everything, and I felt I was like engorged all the time, which is like really full. Your like breasts are really full and like overproducing and stuff. So I did the one thing that happened with doing carnivore is I just wasn't engorged. Like my baby was gaining weight normally. Like he was exclusively breastfed till like 7 months, so he wasn't. He he was all the markers of his health were fine the whole time I was breastfeeding.
The second one?
He was like satiated. I'm talking about John Henry.
Yeah, the second baby. Okay.
Right. Yeah. When John Henry, I wasn't like, it definitely, I could definitely tell that I was producing less quantity of milk, but I think the quality in the satiation was still there.
He didn't have trouble like getting it out or anything.
No. And again, like he gained weight normally.
He was even bigger than the first one, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't that he was malnourished or anything, but you don't feed your kids are not exclusively carnivore.
No. The kids like they eat when we're home we eat they eat like pretty much the same meats we do. And A lot of times they dip theirs in ketchup, but they eat pretty much the same meat as us, but they do eat like berry. I do give them like berries, and they have like sugar, you know, no sugar. What am I trying? No sugar yogurt, and things like that. So they eat.
So kind of
They
like paleo-ish.
yeah.
For them, and then you try to keep them not eating gluten and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And low sugar as much as you can. But you're not like psycho about it.
No. I mean, I just try like they, when I can control what they eat, like at home and out and about, they're eating pretty much the same thing as we are. Like they eat burger. If we're out and like me and Micah get burger patties at a restaurant, like they're eating a burger patty too. But they eat a lot more fruit we don't eat any fruit, but like they eat a lot more fruit than we do. They eat a lot of like berries and cherries and raspberries.
And you don't work like, and because they're going to get some junk when they're with their grandparents or with other relatives or at school, but you just try to have them eat the best they can at home, right?
Right, exactly.
All right, so how is that dealing with other people with a carnivore diet, like other family members or other friends? Like, how is that when you see other people that are like, you don't eat any vegetables? Like, oh my God.
I mean, really, I don't. I kind of feel like nobody even knows what you're talking about. Like most of the time, like they're like, "Oh, you're carnivore," and it's just like it doesn't really register. They're like, "I guess she's just saying she like eats meat, like she's being funny or something," you know. And then like, cause I've said, yeah, I only been eating meat, and I've had one of my friends just like, you mean like no vegetables? Like, how do you get your vitamins? And I was like, well, if you eat like a varied protein diet, like you can get all the vitamins that you need. If you're only eating chicken breast, it would be very hard. But so it's that, and then I don't like shout it to the rooftops when I'm out in public and everything, and also like any sort of group gathering. I always just bring my own food, and if I'm like a contributing factor of the event, like I'm planning it, or like people need ideas, I'm like, let's grill, because or like let's do barbecue or something like that, because I know then I'll have something to eat, and I don't care what other people eat, but like I want to make sure I at least can eat something at the event or whatever. So I bring in, I don't deal with it a lot with other people. I haven't had a lot of like pushback, except like for maybe my mom being like, I hope you're healthy, things like that, and worrying about it. But I've educated them about what I've researched and about how to get your nutrients and everything like that, and that helps. And also, like the proof's in the pudding. Like, people see that you're really healthy. People see that you've lost weight in a really like healthy way, and that you're like vibrant and
Yeah, and your skin looks really good. So,
yeah.
I think, sometimes you run across people who are kind of starving themselves or something, and they kind of look sick, so it's like, well, do I look sick,
Right.
So so how much did you lose after the second baby?
With carnivore, I lost about 35 pounds so far.
Yeah. And are you wanting to go more, or are you okay with?
I'd like to lose more weight, but I'm like, I, you know,
You're more focused on health
yeah,
and just doing so. And that's the thing. It's like it's something you can sustain, and you're not hungry, right? And you don't think about food all the time.
Well, that was like the thing that about carnivore that was like life changing compared to every other way of eating I ever did was because I mean I have blood sugar issues like my whole life, like where if I didn't eat I was gonna uh, pass out or something, or like have a horrible like angry, depressed, bad mood or something if I didn't eat. And this was the first diet or the way of eating that I ate pretty much as I wanted, um, and was still losing weight, and there was no like horrible ups and downs and like blood sugar ups and downs and that like that feeling of like I'm not satiated, like I need to eat more. I'm like all the cravings, like sugar cravings,
and like watching the clock.
Right. Yeah, like, planning my next meal, in the middle of my first, current meal and stuff like that. So it was, and it was, yeah, it took away all of that, like that feeling. I'm never satisfied. I'm always deprived. I'm, like I can't wait to eat that piece of chocolate later, because that will make me feel like I'm not deprived or something like that, So
I always think about dessert, and I've noticed you used to spend tons of time like meal prepping, meal planning, and now you're like, I throw it on the grill, that's it, it's done. And,
yeah.
and even you're cooking outside most of the time, so you don't even have a mess inside.
Right. Yeah, it's like totally simplified my life around like food planning for the family. It's still, you still have with the kids and, with like the husband with Micah, you still have to, take care of their needs. All of them, have certain things they want to eat. Like Samson has he loves that like CG's triple cream yogurt. Like, gotta get that. And like, John Henry loves the organic chicken sausages from Costco, and like Saint Micah always wants like pepperoni around. So it's like, it's not like we just eat steak and it's just so easy, but it does like eliminate so much of the meal prep and meal planning that I was like constantly doing, like constantly looking at recipes, constantly trying to find things like for the kids to eat. And now the kids are like, oh, a burger, great. Like, but the kids like both love steak. John Henry and like Samson both love got canned sardines, and that's like the easiest thing to like just pop open and feed them. They like we all love canned like smoked oysters, So it's like all these things that are so easy to get, and also like are just ready. You can like easily make a burger. You can easily pop open a can of sardines, a can of smoked oysters, things like that. So it's really, it's really simplified feeding the family.
I know something you're really good about and about is electrolytes. So what do you do about electrolytes, and why is that so important with our, when you're starting carnivore?
Well, I think that, if you have ever done keto or intermittent fasting and you have felt like crap doing it, it's probably been like an electrolyte issue, because the difference between me doing a low carb diet before knowing being really aware of my electrolytes, taking electrolytes, and then after is like night and day. You know, if we, on a low carb diet, your body just like sheds water. We do not stay hydrated with without electrolyte. And so and then if you're on a low carb diet, your body is not like, if you're eating carbs, like your body's like sucks up all that liquid when you're eating carbs, and you retain a lot of liquid in your body when you're eating carbs. But when you're not eating carbs, it's all just like flushing out. So in order to stay hydrated, which is really important always, but especially on a low carb diet, like you've got to make sure your electrolytes are in balance. Otherwise, like you're going to feel terrible. You're going to get a headache. You're going to you could feel depressed, be in a bad mood. You could also feel like hungrier than you would normally be, because like your body wants something. Your body's like, we need something. We're like dying here, like we've gotta have something. So like, I mean, there are times with, even on carnivore, like I'll be like, I'm hungry, like, I've eaten a big meal and like I feel a little like, like I could eat more, but I'm very full. And I'll realize like I'll drink like a big glass of like of electrolytes, and like that will be what my problem. Like I'll be like totally full, totally satisfied, and like that feeling of not being completely satiated will go away.
Well, what do you mean? I mean, sometimes people hear electrolytes and they're like, what does that even mean,
Well, electrolytes that are really important are like sodium, magnesium, and potassium. And like what we use is like that, like real salt, any sort of like, but any sort of really good salt, like Himalayan pink salt. I mean, you can get sodium from like Himalayan pink salt, sea salt, any kind of sea salt, and then like the real salt, that brand. If you're keto and or carnivore, like you've got to eat a lot of salt, and like real salt tastes really good. So that's why I think a lot of people love it, because it's actually kind of like not as, I don't know, starch thing as the other ones.
It doesn't taste like chemicals.
Yeah. And then potassium is important to take in, and you can get it from food sources, but like I just put a little bit in my water. So like so potassium and then magnesium. So like what I do is I have like a big, it's not anywhere nearby, but I have like a big 30-ounce cup, like a giant Yeti or something. And I have a straw in there all the time, and that's just like my like electrolyte cup. And in the morning, I like make a big one of those, and I put like, half a teaspoon of real salt. I put a dash of potassium salt, which is like new salt, no salt. And then, or you can just use the light salt brand from Morton, I think, that has potassium and sodium. And then I put like a dash of natural calm in it, which is magnesium citrate. So like that's how I get my electrolytes. Like it's like people think, I mean, my sister thinks like salted water is like disgusting, but it really is like.
It's an airplane. It's really low.
Is it a plane?
Yeah, I live kind of close to the airport. I couldn't hear you during that.
Okay, so it's like light salt. Like I drink a giant cup of like lightly salted. I mean, it tastes lightly salted water, and I drink like 3 or 4 of those a day. But I'm a big person. I mean, like, I need a lot of water, and I'm like pretty active. I like run around all the time, and it's really hot here now, so I need lots of.
You need more in the summer.
Right. So,
you have to be careful with the potassium, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to, lights. Yeah, I mean, potassium can stop your heart. So you have to be, that's not something to overdo. All the salt substitutes that they sell are just pure potassium. So you do have to like make sure, if you're using the no salt or the new salt, or the salt substitute that's like just pure potassium, then you have to be aware of what you're putting in your body and make sure it's just a very small dash of it.
Like, what do you measure it? Do you measure it, or
The potassium? No, I just put a dash in my water.
Just like, but
Yeah,
if you're freaked out about that, you can just use the light salt, the Morton's light salt, right?
yeah, the Morton's light salt's like already pretty balanced, and then it also has like real salt. I mean, like sodium in it. So, you know, it's you're as long as you're not, you know, mainlining a whole container of light salt, um, you should be safe.
Yeah, and that tastes so gross that you probably hard to take that.
Right.
Um, well, all right, well, that's pretty interesting. And so, do you know, what do you see this as a long-term lifestyle, or do you see it as like something you just do for a little while, or what do you think?
I mean, I like feel so good on it. I feel so good eating this way, and like, um, and yeah, I mean, I don't see it being, I see it, you know, doing it as long as it's working for me, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. Um, you know, it's like, you know, it's really changed my mood and my, um, you know, energy level. So it's definitely something that I think you can do long term or short term, depending on your needs.
Well, so, what motivated you to write an ebook about this?
Well, I mean, the biggest motivation, I think Caitlin, I mean, has similar feelings about the carnivore diet. Is that like, you know, we've been battling our blood sugar since we were born, basically, and it's, you know, it's exhausting. It's, you know, been an exhausting journey in a lot of ways of just like, you know, trying low carb, trying fat free, trying um, the blood type diet. I mean, all kinds of like, you know,
Exercise.
yeah, tons of exercise, you know, different kinds of exercise plans, and um, you know, and like to go on a diet, like
Are they coming in? They're coming in today.
having a diet that like alleviates that addiction feeling, feeling of just like I'm never satisfied. I've got to have more. I've got to, and like, you know, so it's like something that would alleviate that and like unburden me from that feeling all the time. And then also like, you know, alleviating like digestive issues, bloating, and um, you know, and then also losing weight, like all of those things happening on just like one switch of like, no, I'm not going to eat vegetables. I'm just going to eat protein. Was really like I was like, so, you know, I know so many women that, you know, are just like me. They're like constantly trying to figure out how to lose weight, how to like maintain their blood sugar, how to get healthier, and they're just like, you know, can't get it together. Um, so it's just really something that I think so many people can benefit from that are just like me. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's such a cultural stigma of women eating meat and eating to satiety, even you're supposed to always eat like a bird, and
Right.
but birds are probably carnivores, but that's the idea. We're supposed to just eat like 2 or 3 ounces of meat, or just eat like tuna fish or something just light,
Yeah.
and but then at the same time, we're always told that we're crazy and moody and, obsessed with food and all that stuff. At the same time, because we're never full and we're always thinking about dessert, and because we're just not satisfied. I mean, a craving for dessert is just really your body saying, I'm not full, I didn't get what I need. Um, so, I mean, it's so interesting. And I think that's why we really need to get the word out to everyone, because I'm sure a lot of women feel this way and they just don't know what they can do about it. So,
I know. I mean, like I mean, so many women are having like, I mean, men too, but you know, but women I know are having like autoimmune issues. You know, they're like battling, you know, polycystic ovarian syndrome, you know, Hashimoto's, things like that. And like, you know, like so many of those people are, you know, turning to like a plant-based lifestyle because somebody's telling them that that's helpful, and like their body needs like bioavailable nutrients really bad, you know, and not a lot of carbs to like help those issues. And like people are, you know, pushing this vegan lifestyle, and it's like the antithesis of what you need for like satiation as well as like what your body needs to heal.
Fertility.
Yeah, fertility too. So it's just like,
And I mean, I bet you, I mean, you had zero problems getting pregnant, but I bet you if you had stayed the way you were eating in college, you would have run into some real health issues. If you hadn't changed to paleo back when you did in 2009 and 10, I bet you things would have gone differently, don't you think?
yeah, I mean, because I mean, my health was not going anywhere good. Like at the end of college, I mean, I was like pseudo vegetarian, you know, and you know, I've, you know, yeah, I just everything was not, nothing was going well. It was not, everything was starting to turn at that point.
Yeah, your body was sending you lots of signals. So, um, and it, you know, getting more into ancestral foods, I think, made a big difference, especially as a young person, you know, for your for your health trajectory.
So yeah. I mean, I remember reading Sally Fallon's book about, and I can't remember the name, of course, but it's her book about um, like conception and child rearing. And I mean, I don't love everything in that book, but like one thing that's she is big in it that I like took to heart was like, you know, you need to get really serious about what you're putting in your body, like at least 2 to 3 years before you want to conceive. And I mean, you know, no one ever says that. You know, they're like, just take a prenatal. Like, you know, when you want to conceive, just take a prenatal. And you know, that's when I think reading that book, that's when I started like eating like sardines, like you know, every few. And I mean, I like sardines a lot, so yeah, sardines and liver and things like that. And also like that's when I changed a lot of like what Micah was eating too, you know, being a lot more we were eating like a lot more liver, and I was making him eat sardines even though he hated it and stuff, because you know it's important for both people to have you know optimal health before you try to conceive.
That's awesome. So our ebook's coming out soon, and it is on. So you can just sign up at grassfedlist.com, and then you'll get all the notifications about the ebook. And so where do people can they follow you, Ellen?
I'm at Ellen is Hangry at on Instagram and Twitter, and then I have a website, ellenweeks.com.
Awesome. But mostly you're on Instagram, and so anybody has any questions, they can shoot you a message, and you'll be happy to get back to them.
Oh yeah, the easiest way to get to me is Instagram.
Yeah. Well, so thanks so much, guys, for watching. And if this is helpful for you, leave a comment and share with a friend, and make sure and subscribe. We're gonna have a lot of new videos coming. And thanks for your time, Ellen. Love you.
You too. Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.